Hello, and welcome back to Wake Up with Dr. Cheryl, Wealth Transformation. Wake up to your gratitude. Wake up to your wealthy thinking and feelings inside of yourself in every moment. It's an inside job. Wake up to your awareness, to being healthy in every area of your life. Remember, there's more than enough money for everyone to live very comfortable and free. And it all starts in your mind, your thoughts, and your relationship with wealth and money. There's more than enough money circulating on this planet for all 7 billion of us to have $8 to $10 million apiece in the bank. We have a very distinguished guest this evening, Dr. Michelle Cleere. Dr. Michelle holds a PhD in clinical psychology and an MA in sports psychology. She serves on the faculty of JFK University. Her research focuses on how the mind can be trained to improve performance and endurance. Her competitive spirit as a college basketball player and amateur triathlete inspired her to explore sports psychology to improve her own performance. Her big aha moment came in 1997 when coaching a team of amateur triathletes, most of whom were beginners. Simple mental skill training, perspective shifts, and emotional support yielded most magical results across the team. People who hated running learned to power up hills with mantras. And I want to talk about that later. People who were terrified of swimming in open water overcame their fears with visualizations. Everyone completed their race, including a woman who showed up to the first practice with a snorkel mask and fins. And most kept competing. Since then, Dr. Michelle has helped hundreds of athletes who compete in sports that require a high degree of mental endurance and toughness, such as tennis, golf, triathlon, marathon, cycling, and beach volleyball. She has also worked with concert musicians, academics competing for tenure, and business executives. Dr. Michelle's passion is unlocking the power of the mind so that elite performers can play better and happier. She coaches athletes, musicians, academicians, artists, writers, leaders, and others who need to perform consistently at a high level. This is the second part of a two-part conversation with Dr. Michelle. Welcome, Dr. Michelle.
Hi, Dr. Cheryl. Thanks for having me.
And I'm delighted that you're here. Since you're living your purpose and passion, do you ever have a conversation with your clients about wealth and money, besides them paying you?
Well, that's a conversation, right, in and of itself.
Yes, it is.
Really
it is, because you get to see how they react or proact or, whatever.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of conversations with my clients around wealth, but I would say, though, that when clients come to me, having that conversation around how much I charge and how much they can pay is always an interesting conversation.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because colleagues and friends think that I'm too forgiving with people sometimes when it comes to, what
Payment.
I charge and payment.
Yeah.
And the conversation goes in different directions, really, depending on the individual.
Well, and tell me about that. If you give an example, just so the viewers understand what you're saying, so I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think, I have some clients who, they say, how much do you charge? And I tell them how much I charge, and it's
is that before your service? Or during, after? Or?
Yeah, usually I have a free 30-minute consult with most of my clients. And it's usually during that time that they'll ask, how much do you charge? And really that conversation depends on the conversation that I've sort of already had with them
Oh,
a little bit.
so there's a disconnect. See, this is a good example
Yeah.
of the reality of how people don't like talking about money. And I've talked about this a lot on my shows, is people don't have a relationship with money.
Right.
That relationship is fragmented. It's not congruent.
Yes.
And there's emotion, there's fear, mostly fear around that. People don't want to talk about it. There's either not enough, or there's too much, or shame, so this is a good example. And this is what my show is about, is getting past that,
Yeah.
because money's just energy.
Yeah, totally.
It's just an exchange.
Yeah.
And to have a healthy relationship with it, we really, need to look at ourselves. So do you find that there's a lot of fear around that? Or?
Oh, there's a lot of fear. Yeah. No, I would say that there's a lot of fear around money with my clients.
Do you think that they feel like they can't afford you, or what?
Yeah, I feel like a couple of things. I feel like they can't afford me, and I also feel like they're trying to gauge, do I deserve this?
Do you deserve this, or do they deserve it? Usually it comes from worth, their own self-worth.
Yeah.
See, yes, that's a great, I'm glad you said that, because the self-worth is so important. And our society, unfortunately, has really marred that relationship. It's so materialistic and driven, for the outer and not the inner.
Yeah.
Because the inner really is the most important. Because money you can get anywhere. I mean, really, you can do anything to get money coming in. It's whether you're doing it with integrity or ethics, etc., or your passion and purpose.
Right.
Which you're doing.
Yes.
And which I'm starting to do. So, and that's when the fulfillment comes. And don't you feel fulfilled when?
I do feel fulfilled. I actually feel really fulfilled not being stuck in the money for me. I feel like wealth comes in a variety of ways.
Oh, thank you. Amen. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I feel like it's not always that I need to stick to my bottom line in order to prove a point always. I feel like it's important for me to be open and flexible, not only in the money, but in the conversation around the money. And so this is part of what I do with my clients. This is part of how I work with them.
So do you kind of gauge it depending on the client?
Yeah,
and what they...
I do.
Because you obviously build a trust relationship there.
Yeah.
So, but I'm happy to be able to see that you are looking at wealth on different levels and not just the money, because that's what this is about. Is that as I said earlier, is that there's more than enough for everybody to have $8 to $10 million apiece, and I'm talking about the babies in India.
Right.
In Africa. So only the top 2% have the lion's share. And there's so many, over the last 2-3 years, there's so many, criminal things that everything's being unraveled and is coming to the surface on all the greed, and that's what actually the impetus that gave me to do this mission and writing my books and so forth, is because there's so much wealth. I mean, just walk out the door.
Right.
In Marin, I mean, we live in a paradise over here. So I'm prejudiced, but because it's beautiful here. It's beautiful in San Francisco. It's totally, so it isn't. It's from the inner.
Right.
And that's the point. But it's good that you I think, that you're flexible and compassionate, because it'll keep coming to you.
Yeah, and if I could share a story.
Please, please.
Last year I had a woman who emailed me and said that she wanted to work with me, that she was struggling with weight and diet, and so I did a consult with her, and come to find out she was struggling with weight and diet and to be healthy, but she was also cutting. She
Oh my gosh, she was cutting herself.
yes,
Oh gosh.
yeah, cutting.
Yeah.
Struggling to support herself financially, and we started working together, and she was dealing with a lot of family issues, challenges. Just family was very, very, very religious, and I don't mean that in any
Oh no, non-judgmental. Of course
non-judgmental,
not.
right? Just really struggling all the way around. She was from Louisiana. She had moved out here to work at a church and had all this crazy.
Well, that's a culture shock right there.
Right. Yeah.
I understand that because I have a friend from Louisiana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of crazy stuff happened to her.
Yeah.
So we worked together. She actually came into my office several times, and we worked together. And then she couldn't get here because she didn't have any money for gas. She ended up living out of her truck.
Wow.
Didn't have money for food. Helped sort of get her some support systems as well, food banks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But she would email me pretty consistently, every 2 or 3 months.
Well, you were her support system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she would tell me about her journeys and like,
In detail.
this wasn't going so well, but this got better.
But what a catharsis for her.
Yeah.
To be able to communicate with you.
Yes. And I was seeing her pro bono, I guess was the piece that I forgot to mention.
Well, yeah, that's okay.
And I got an email from her, I guess about a month and a half ago, and she said, Michelle, I just got an apartment. I have a job and I'm making money. I'm doing some volunteer work. And she said, it's amazing. And I said, you know what? You needed to go through the journey to get to where you are right now. And I know it sucked, but here you are, and I'm just very happy for you. And had I not taken on this woman who, I didn't know, pro bono, to help support her in maybe the neediest time of her life, who knows where she would have been. And that's not to say that I changed her life. She changed her life.
I know, but you were the catalyst. You were the catalyst.
I was fortunate enough to.
Yeah. Yes, you're blessed. You were blessed. She's blessed.
Yeah. So those are
that's a sweet story, and there's a lot of people out there right now that are struggling, and I don't look at it as a bad thing. I look at it as, because I've had a terrible loss myself, and I trusted the wrong people, and I lost a lot of money, and there's a way to well, I have looked at it as a learning experience to get where I am, to really get to the core of my passion and purpose.
Yeah. That's the best way to look at it, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when you're coming from that passion and purpose, you can do it 24/7, 365, and and eventually the wealth comes.
Yeah, one of the things that I spend a lot of time talking to my clients about is success. A lot of my clients live in this black or white space, this right or wrong, this all or nothing space, and really helping them, and it's the same with wealth, right? You either have it or you don't have it for a lot of people. And so I really work with clients to help them redefine success. It's not black or white, it's black and white and sort of everything in between, and sort of being able to accept it all.
Well, and having faith, I think, is huge. Having faith that You know, like when you're going through a tight time, like my daughter just had some things that she had to spend money on that she wasn't anticipating, and it's made it very tight for her. But if you have enough faith, you know that it's only temporary.
Right.
It's like everything is pretty much temporary.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's nothing more consistent than change.
That's
so
true.
why fight it?
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, when you have that faith in between, you know, that's kind of the bridge of the black and the white. And this is how I see it. Personally, I am a minister. But, you know, that black and white, there's that faith, you know, that bridges that gap. And the mental, the mindfulness, the awareness.
Yep.
And knowing that better is yet to come.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. I mean, everything's transitory. This conversation is transitory, right? And if we got stuck in a moment, then, you know, it wouldn't really benefit us. So it's just, and I also talk to clients about the energy that they put on things, you know.
You mean like material things?
Well,
or
anything.
just...
I mean, emotions,
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, thoughts are just thoughts.
Yeah.
But if you put all this energy and stuff into it or onto it, then it becomes like craziness,
Yeah,
right?
and
Madness.
But unfortunately, a lot of the TV shows, I mean, I hardly watch TV, very selectively, and movies. I like movies. But it's like, you know, everything's extreme.
Yeah.
It's grandizing. It's, you know, it's this, you know, and it doesn't paint a real healthy environment. So if people allow themselves to get caught up in that, then that's where the craziness perpetuates. So it's like, for me, I have to pull back and say, what is this, you know? And as long as you know that like for me, I have my grounding cord, and I can get through anything. When you have that solid, you know, like you said, the spirit and the psychological comes together, you can get through anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had lots of challenges.
Yeah.
So I can see why you do the counseling that you do. You definitely have the tools to do it.
Thank you.
So
I love it.
is there anything that you can, in your wisdom and your wealth of wisdom, that you can share with the viewers? You know, some tidbits or whatever that you'd like to share to help them.
Well, I think two things that have been coming up a lot lately in my practice, for me and with clients. One is, again, this ability, I think, to just be able to accept.
Acceptance.
Right.
Yes.
Be mindful, but accept that you are who you are. You're in the state that you're in right now, that you're feeling the way you're feeling.
Don't you think that that's accepting yourself as for who you are is the most important?
Yes.
And that when you can accept yourself and love yourself unconditionally, this is what I talk about every show is unconditional love for yourself. When you have that, and I mean, it can happen like that, or it takes time, step by step, to really, then you can accept situations the way they are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my experience, and that's great. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, I just think acceptance is key. I mean, like I
Acceptance.
was saying, you know, you could put a lot of energy onto, you know, anxiety, for example, but that just, it's like, you know, fueling a fire.
Yeah.
Rather than just accepting, you know, I'm having a moment of anxiety right now.
Yeah, because we all do.
Right.
It's like one of the mentors that I have says, fear storms. I'm having a fear storm, but it passes.
Yeah.
Just like when you have anxiety. Like I've had a tendency in my life to get anxious. I was anxious today, I always get a little anxious before my show, but it's a good anxious.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, I have to kind of aware myself, you know, to relax myself, because then when I get too anxious, then I can't get things done, and I can't focus.
Right.
Like you know, so but when you kind of pull it in, you know, it's like, okay, it's cool.
Yep.
But,
yeah, I have a young client. Her mother actually emailed me today, and she has a lot of anxiety before she competes. But what we've talked about is that for her, that's actually preparation.
Yeah.
Which is probably a little bit before your show, right?
Yeah,
it's
it
sort of
is.
your body's way of preparing.
Yeah, and my mind, because I want to make sure that I'm all here, 100% here. So yeah, you know, that adrenaline.
Yeah.
You know.
But even sometimes.
And I don't drink coffee. Can't. I'd be bouncing all over the place. No.
But even sometimes that shift, right? And just like thinking, well, yeah, okay, maybe it's not anxiety, maybe it is preparation.
But that's a wonderful way to transition that awareness. The transition.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Preparation.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So acceptance, I feel, is one thing that's been popping up a lot in my practice lately. I'd say another one is really intuition. You know, it's ironic that we're sitting here talking about head stuff and how people really aren't always that aware of what's going on in their head, but people get really heady, which is completely different.
Mental.
Yeah.
The mental. Yeah.
Right.
Getting too mentally. Yeah.
Rather than listening
to the heart.
What's in here.
Yeah. And when you can have the balance between the two, I mean, that is a challenge for most people, but having that balance, that's where the pure, like listening to your higher self. Yeah. I practice that every day, and I don't always get it just right every single time, but it gets easier, you know, when you can listen with both your heart and your mind.
Yeah.
Because when it's too mental, then it can be rigid. You block out the higher message. That's the spirituality that I'm talking about. And when you can listen to that, there isn't anything better.
Well, and it's a lot about trusting yourself, right?
Amen. Trust. I have a sign on my desk. Trust. Trust. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Because we're not taught to do that. Generally speaking, you know, from my parents, and you know, I mean, I think that there's more that don't trust themselves that do.
I would agree.
But when you focus in on it,
that's right,
and you practice it, it works.
It does work.
It works.
And it helps you also tap into your authentic self, which I think is probably the third sort of piece right now that's been like really primary in my practice.
Being authentic with yourself and not living your life for others, but for who you really are. I mean, I think the right now the planet is in a whole shift, and I think what you've just said, especially about being authentic. I mean, all the groups that I have in my realm, they all talk about that. So it's a universal thing that's happening right now.
Good. That's great. You know, we need that collective conscious.
That's what it makes. That's what it helps. That's how it congeals, you know, and supports. So it's happening.
Good.
It's happening. I mean, I think it is, unless I'm in denial, but
I'm excited then.
That I'm in denial?
No.
No, sorry. No, you know, it's exciting because I look at this as a shift. I mean, you watch the news. I mean, I don't like watching the news because there's a lot of negative stuff, but all this negative stuff has to come out before the good comes. I don't like to say that. I wish it wasn't like that. You know, but wake up. That's why I call my show Wake Up, because I want everybody to wake up to their being happy and unconditional love.
I want people to wake up too. I agree with
you. Know, wake up.
What a great thing.
You know, life is too short and too precious.
It is. It really is.
Oh, our time is coming down to the end.
Oh my gosh, already?
Yeah,
Oh.
I know. And I thank you so much for sharing your gifts. And I think that our viewers will get some good information out of this. And thank you so much for coming and sharing. She came from San Francisco. Hopefully you didn't get in too much traffic.
It was fine. It was
Good.
Yeah.
Good. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to have been asked to come and sit here with you today and have these kind of conversations, which don't happen often enough.
Yes.
And I just appreciate you sharing your time and your spirit and your space. So thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you. I'll leave you with this: the soul's journey. The higher self is our other guide who waits patiently while we journey into the illusion with the ego until we are ready to hear the truth. It is through the gentle whispers of the higher self that we wake up bit by bit until we finally remember who we are. That's what transformation and enlightenment are. Action is the fundamental key to all success, by Pablo Picasso. Courage is the most important of all virtues because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. You can practice any virtue erratically, but nothing consistently without courage, by Maya Angelou. Getting enough courage to do this show was because I had a wonderful support system and a passion for my messages. This quote is one of my favorites. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. And that was by Maya Angelou. Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. By Henry Ford. Never give up on your pursuit of your purpose and passion. And even if you don't know what that is, work with integrity and have a positive attitude wherever you work, and especially with your family and friends. Be grateful for what you have, who you are, and be grateful for your freedom and eat healthy. Good nutrition feeds the mind and your body temple. Don't forget to exercise, move your body. Keep your spirituality with meditation and prayer and with unconditional love. And firstly, love yourself unconditionally and share your abundance and wealth with others. Thanks for watching. Please support Marin TV that brings these messages. And remember, when fear knocks, let faith open the door. Bye for now until next time.